So my name is Brad Martyn. I'm the founder of Focus CFO. We're a fractional CFO company based here in Columbus, Ohio. In 2001, I was a CFO for a company locally, and I decided to quit my job, and I actually jumped off the cliff and started Focus CFO from scratch. Originally, it was going to be me and 3 people, and today we're in 17 states, and we have 250 people, and we've actually emerged as the largest fractional CFO group in the country. The concept of a fractional CFO is that you take a very experienced executive, C-level executive with 20 or 25 or 30 years, that a small to medium-sized business isn't able to afford to hire them full-time. And each one of those executives works with a company typically 1 day a week. It could be half a day a week. What that allows the business owner to do is to get access to that level of talent and experience at a budget that they can afford. We've been really fortunate just to be able to attract really great people to our model. We do run the model differently than a lot of other fractional CFO groups. We separate the client acquisition from the actual client delivery. So we have a role called an area president, which is not a sales role, but they're experienced entrepreneurs and business leaders that are in the market all the time, networking and developing relationships and trying to find groups and organizations that understand what we do. And then that allows us to have the CFOs focus exclusively on working with the clients. So I'm the founder of Focus CFO, and I still spend about half of my time in a corporate leadership role. We run EOS. If you're familiar with EOS, it's the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's an operating rhythm for emerging businesses. We've run that now for 7 or 8 years. In that role, I'm what's called the visionary. So I do a lot of creative ideas and come up with new content and R&D type things, develop relationships. The other half of my time I spend doing what I really love to do, which is networking in Central Ohio, building relationships, working with some clients, but really doing everything I can to have the opportunity to meet with business owners to help them understand what a fractional CFO does and to see if that's an opportunity that would fit well for their organization. A typical fractional CFO is going to work 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, and they're going to go to a different client on each day. The thing about fractional is it's not project and it's not interim and it's not consulting. It's not outsourced. It's really the same as being an employee of the organization, where that you go there and you become integrated to the company, to the culture. You're in the leadership meetings. So the CFOs are going to have a block of clients, and then on a regular schedule, they will go in and become part of that company's leadership team and focus on the CFO role. So a CFO might go to the same client every Tuesday. They might go to the same client every Wednesday. They might go to the same client every Thursday morning, maybe a different one on Thursday afternoon. A lot of the organizations that we work with are under 30 million of revenue, and they tend to be entrepreneurial-led businesses, a lot of nonprofits, but organizations that really don't have the internal financial sophistication to be able to give the executive director or the entrepreneurial business owner the information they need to run their business. What we find is we find sloppy accounting. We find tax work that's really focused on compliance and not planning. And we don't see any emphasis at all on looking at sophisticated things like workforce credits and R&D credits. And so when we go in as a fractional CFO, what we're trying to do, because we're there on a limited schedule, is we're trying to understand the issues and the pain points really quickly, and then bring in experts in those areas that can bring the value-added services and support that the businesses that we work with need. So when we see an instance where that the bookkeeping is sloppy, Arvo is a perfect solution for those types of clients. Same thing with tax, because of Arvo's emphasis on tax planning and not just tax preparation and compliance. So we've had multiple opportunities to work with Arvo over the years, where we've identified those client opportunities where there's a need for higher level sophistication and better resources and better support. And so as we've looked for those opportunities and been able to bring Arvo in, we've been able to really identify areas that have some pretty significant savings for the client as it relates to credits, as it relates to tax planning, And then again, looking for those opportunities where the bookkeeping is just not what it needs to be. And getting Arvo involved allows us to have more timely accounting financials that come out of the system, which allows us as fractional CFOs to do our job more effectively, because we really don't want to do the accounting. We want to work with the individuals who are doing the accounting, but our role as a fractional CFO is much more forward-looking and strategic, related to cash flow planning and building operating budgets and forecasts. But to do that, we have to have tremendous financial information, accounting information, and we really need strong tax resources to help with that process. Some of the really common problems as it relates to accounting and tax services in the market is that a lot of the larger, the more regional firms, CPA firms in particular, are really focused on a lot of the larger companies, the larger organizations, and they don't really have the resources internally to spend the quality time with a lot of smaller organizations. So that's really been an issue with trying to find groups that can bring the very sophisticated resources into the lower middle market client, which we would define as businesses that are under 30 million of sales. Arvo is a great partner for Focus CFO because they are so responsive and so timely. We've had instances where we've had opportunities come up, we reach out to Arvo. Arvo is very quick to respond. They're very quick to get the right people involved, and that allows for a very orderly transition to be able to get them in and have them do the work that they need to do for the client. Arvo creates value for fractional CFOs by being able to bring resources quickly, to be able to get bookkeeping and accounting done fast, accurately, timely. That's really critical. A lot of the other organizations that do bookkeeping, it tends to be slower and it's not necessarily as accurate as it needs to be. And for us to do our job effectively as fractional CFOs, that information has to be timely and it has to be accurate. And we have to get the information so that we can get through the closing process quickly. The best part about working with Arvo is really the sophistication of their team. It's just amazing to look at what they've done from a technology standpoint and being able to deploy very high-end resources that you typically see in humongous organizations. Arvo's bringing those to the table in a way that small, medium-sized businesses can really get them in a way that's really affordable and tailored exactly to what they need.